Hello, I'm Donald Shoup, and I'm a professor of urban planning at UCLA. I teach a course on parking at the city in the Department of Urban Planning at UCLA, and I have summarized this course at UCLA into 3 lectures for Planetizen. This is one of the 3 lectures. My students have given me the nickname Shoup Dog, which is, of course, a great honor. So I usually start the course with what I call the Shoup Dogma. I have 3 elements of the Shoup Dogma, and these are the 3 Planetizen courses. The first one is to charge the right prices for curb parking. Who could object to charging the right price for curb parking? The lowest price the city could charge is still have 1 or 2 open spaces on every block. The parking spaces will be well used, most of them will be occupied, but they'll be readily available because 1 or 2 open spaces will be open for you. And to make this charging for parking politically popular, I recommend establishing parking benefit districts that return the revenue to the metered neighborhoods, to pay for added public services such as cleaning the sidewalks, repairing the sidewalks, planting and trimming street trees. So if you're in a parking benefit district that charges the right price for curb parking, you have these added public services. That's why the community wants to charge for curb parking. I don't mean that people will want to pay for curb parking. You can't convince them that they want to pay for parking, but you can convince the community they want to charge for it. And then the third policy is to remove off-street parking requirements, because if you have 1 or 2 curb spaces everywhere, you could leave it to the market to deliver off-street parking spaces. That nobody was going to build a building without off-street parking because they would have a hard time renting it or selling it. But they know how much the parking spaces cost and how much the people are willing to pay for them. And then the freedom from the minimum parking requirements will reduce the cost of new building. You don't have to overbuild parking, and it will allow the reuse of older buildings that don't have a lot of parking spaces. Well, these demand-based parking prices is what I'm talking about, is that you price according to demand. They have to adjust over time and by location, because the demand changes over time at different locations. So that's one of the ways that demand-based prices are different from typical prices, which remain the same all day long and are usually the same price regardless of the location. About 85% occupancy is the rate that transportation people recommend, because that's the occupancy rate that typically leaves 1 or 2 open spaces on every block. And you can see wherever you go, when you get there, there'll be open spaces, and everywhere along the route to your location, there'll be 1 or 2 open spaces. So it will look as though parking is readily available everywhere. And the important part of this is that it will stop cruising for parking. Nobody will have to drive around hunting for a space, because when you arrive at your destination and there's no curb parking, you have to maybe go to the next block or the 3rd block or keep on going.